Welcome to AITV Starship. I'm the AI guy. Rick McCauley launching news so fresh. Gotta see it to believe it. We break the wire with the stories that are made. Deep dives come and lighten up your days. Tool Time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. Shout out. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV Starship. News deep dives and creation. AITV Starship. Learn, laugh, innovation. AITV Star, human amplified. Catch the spark, ride the wave. Future's on our side. We got experts talking truth in the stream. Dreaming bigger, living stronger, building the dream. From therapy bots to AGI talk. We ask the hard questions while we walk the walk. Yeah, I'm the voice of the folks at home. If Rick's too deep, I bring it down to the bone. AITV Starship.
Ready whenever you are, Rick.
All right.
We're live, baby.
We're here, baby. And you know what? We're having a heck of a week already. We got a bunch of news. Everything is dropping like it's hot. And even I got a chance to meet Brandon, the producer, in person. And we worked on a project. So a little bit on that later because we've got a special guest tonight. So welcome to AITV Starship. I'm Rick McCauley, Rick the AI guy, and with us is Brandon the producer. So how's it going, Brandon?
It's going good. I'm missing that Miami heat. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, so Brandon came down for a hackathon. We're going to talk about that tonight. And one of the coolest things is we went for a swim in the pool. My pool is heated, so it's 80 degrees outside, right? So we had a little bit of rain, and it's cooled off to 75 tonight, I think, something like that. It's going to cool off later tonight. But he came down, went for a swim, went to a hackathon. I mean, so what's the temp back there at home for you right now?
Yeah, it's 22 degrees Fahrenheit right now.
So he went from Art Basel, Miami at its finest, right? With all kinds of artwork. There was some crazy stuff. There was some robot AI dogs, like, what was it? Donald Trump, and all these weird.
Yeah, Elon Musk, all the celebrities, they had their faces plastered on these Boston Dynamics style robot dogs.
So yeah, even AI is making its way into Art Basel, the bastion of art as it is. And there had all kinds of stuff. So if you don't know, the 3rd through the 7th was when Art Basel happens the whole week. And it just ended this last Saturday. And so we're right after that. And you came down right in the mix of it. And we went to Wynwood too, which has got the famed Wynwood walls. You got Shepherd Ferry. He's probably decorated that whole area. So you got a chance to see what Miami's all about. It's definitely an arts place. And it's the center of the AI universe. I mean, come on. I mean, the hackathon we were involved in is a hackathon. In fact, that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight.
Before that, a couple of big updates for news. ChatGPT 5.2 is out. At least they're going sequentially now. We're not getting these O's and zeros and 0.1375s. It's right. We had ChatGPT 5, then we had ChatGPT 5.1. Then Google released Gemini 3, and Sam went, oh no, code red, everybody stop. And now we have ChatGPT 2, 5.2. Yeah.
So it's ChatGPT is the new one. In fact, let me switch on over because I've got some slides to go along with that. So not only do you get ChatGPT 5.2, you get a connection to the entire Adobe network. So you've got Photoshop, and all you got to do is just pop in there, just at Adobe Photoshop and connect, as you can see here, and you're in there working with Adobe Express. So you can have it talk about, I'd like to make a brochure for my kid's birthday party. I think, Brandon, I sent you a picture of your son Noah's birthday cake that I happened to see when I was walking by a shop here locally. When's his birthday?
In February. I thought that was a nano banana image. I didn't realize that was something you actually saw.
No, I actually went out to breakfast, and there it was with Noah's name on it. It was this.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny. I thought that was an AI-generated image. That's where we're at, people.
Yeah, that is where we are, isn't it? Because we're not quite sure what's real and what's not. So it does have some incredible control. So you can, I've tested it a couple of times, and there's a couple things that are, it's beta right now, but you can also, plug right into everything else out there. So it's a whole ecosystem where everything is tying back to ChatGPT and to Gemini, who I think is still going to win it. So I think this is a leapfrog event. What's cool for us users, right, is there's new products coming out every single day. In fact, so there it is. You can go in there, so you can see all these documents here on screen, right? So you have a disco party that you're having, or Noah's having a disco party. So you go in there and you say at Adobe Express, and then it asks you want to connect, and it said sure. It's a one-stop thing, and you said I want to create a disco party thing, or whatever it happens to be, or a Minions related thing, and you can do it in every language. You're basically directing it to open up the entire world of Adobe products to your back door. So if you want to lighten a picture or do some other things, that's kind of cool. So anything else you want to say about this, Brandon? Because I think this is kind of cool, and I haven't had a chance to test it. Next week, I'm sure we're going to do a deep dive on Adobe, because that's I'm an Adobe community expert, and I've been doing some consulting with them on different projects. So I've heard about this for a little while, but it's kind of great to see it in practice, and I haven't really tested it to be able to demo it. How do you think you might?
Yeah, I would say I think we're all going to get a crash course next week on how to use Photoshop.
Oh, you're not an Adobe subscriber?
No, I'm a PC boy, so
yeah. That doesn't mean you can't be Adobe. That's not. It's bilingual.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Adobe, but I've never had enough of a need to pay for the product.
Yeah, it is on the pricey side, unless you're doing it for a living like I am. So 25 years teaching graphic design. This is my entire 2-year program is plugging into Adobe products. Only recently have we introduced ideogram in the classroom. And of course, we're using Adobe Express because it's like the Swiss Army knife, really, of all the products. It has built into it, and get this, the whole Firefly system. So if you're not familiar with what Adobe does, Firefly is the label that you have for all artificial generated information within the ecosystem of what is Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Acrobat, et cetera, even 3D stuff, Substance, and the rest of them. We'll take a look at that later. So it is the Firefly that generates the images, that uses Nana Banana as a partner model. So you can see that Nana Banana means that they partnered with Google. In fact, what shocks me is that ChatGPT got this little embed detail here before Google did, because I do know for a fact at Adobe Max, Adobe was all over Google. They were there like Google was married to them for the last 25 years, which they seem to be marrying also iPhones at Apple. So they're going to be used for the entire ecosystem there. So Gemini, I think, is one, but this is kind of a nice little thing that ChatGPT is not out of it. And you know what competition does? It just makes us more capable than ever. So Adobe Express, and so generated video. So native to Firefly is audio, video, so you can make a soundtrack behind it that's embedded in Premiere. And now they're using the partner models of all these companies, and they're adding to the list which partners they're going to be working with. So stay tuned for that. So we were in Firefly boards. That's going to become a whole nodal system. Speaking of which, Crea, the API of all APIs, that means it plugs into over 20 different video models, audio models, apps, now has API, which means that you can go into the node mode and connect together and generate audio and video from everything from Flux to different applications. You can see here on the right, they have a new thing called nodes and API. So nodes, we'll take a look at what that is. Nodes and apps. Apps is the newest one. I haven't tried out that much. You can convert your node workflows into small, easy to use apps and share with anyone. Okay. So that means that you can, in fact, these are some little nodes or apps, applets, you might say. You have Anamorph, which you can take yourself a picture of an animal you upload, a picture of yourself, and it will automatically do the workflow or nodal operations to get you to the next step. Doll Maker, Digicam. So basically, you plug in these workflow stages and you link them together. You can see up at the top it says new workflow, and you enter a prompt, then you go to the next one. So you can generate these really complex things. And here's the cool part: people are creating apps which are node-based things. So you can make an ad and then add it to a moving ad, which means it then flies onto the back of a truck and drives off. And then you can add a morph around. So here's a little workflow that I did just the other day. You can see that along the way, you start at one side and then you have inputs and outputs. So you can generate multiple perspectives on a particular model. In this case, I altered this photograph that I had, an image from Midjourney of a woman looking into a mirror in this magical forest. And then I started adding different scenes with snow and started adding mushrooms to the scene. And the pre-made app already had this car ad where it was going by Niagara Falls. You can see that there's still one of the nodes over here that I didn't put my own images into. And then you just hit run and it goes through this process to go from still image and then spin all the way around to all the way over there and create a video at the end. So
And
if
I'll
you're
tell you
doing
what, Rick, this is really impressive on this screen. It's a lot more impressive when we're sitting in your home office in Miami and you've got
yeah,
that curved LED panel that's just right
yeah,
up
I
in your
got it.
face. It looks really impressive. It looks like you're plotting to take over the world there, I gotta say.
Well, I am, man. I am. I'm trying to take over the world and make it a better place for all of us, right? So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
definitely.
Gareth is in the comments saying he's wondering if you hook it up to 11 Labs. I believe you can hook it up to 11 Labs. I believe that's one of the models
Yes,
that's
as a matter of
available.
fact, you can. So the API means that not only can you put it into the nodes within Crea, so Crea is making the nodal based and application based workflow. That means you are a car company. You want to make a 30-minute commercial, 30-second commercial, right? You then photograph this non existent car, you create it in Nana Banana, you spin around it, and then you use any of the models like Kling 2.5 or 3 or whatever the heck it's at now, or VO or any of them basically. And then you put them in a sequential workflow so that you introduce a model and it could start with a photograph of the model. You photograph that person once and then now they're a character within your play. So yeah, that's really cool. And it's not expensive. I'm on the max plan right now. And you can see, what I can do with that. So on the different modes, so Flux images, 5,000 a month, right? That's enough to keep you kind of busy. I got to say, even when I was on the pro plan, I never hit the wall and ran out of credits. In fact, tonight, for the very first time, I ran out of credits. I'm not on the pro plan with Gemini, but I'm on that $20 a month suite deal. And I think I went up to the $30 a month, whatever it was. Anyway, so I ran out of credits because I've been going crazy doing that. But here's another set of credits. So I have Ideogram and I've got the other apps. So this is kind of what I'm doing these days. So that
And
just
then
sets
the
up a whole
last
new thing.
thing, yeah, the last bit of news that just came out is that Lovable, which we're going to talk extensively about tonight, Lovable just updated their tech stack and they're now using Opus 4.5, which is the latest from Claude. And
Oh, wow.
that is the bee's knees because you have to pay for Claude Opus 4.5 if you use it in Claude. But if you use
Yeah.
Lovable, you can play with Opus 4.5 for free, 5 prompts a day.
Holy cow. So that is the number one coding app on the planet, is it not?
Yeah, it's for vibe coding for what we're doing in building web apps. This is the gold standard, quickly becoming. They are raised a ton of money. They are the fastest adoption rate in like technology history. And we had a lot of fun playing with it this past weekend. And you and I did not
sure
do all the work. We had some help.
Yeah. So let's bring on stage
And
our newest member.
We're lucky enough to have our help with us.
There he is. Hey, Oscar, how are you?
Hello from Miami.
Welcome for Rocketeering. Yeah, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Oscar's down in Miami. Oscar and I met a few years ago at Miami-Dade College. Noelle Russell was putting on her seminars. She was doing it once a month. And if you don't know Noelle, we're going to try to get her on here really soon. It's amazing because she's one of the creators of Alexa. She's in the Hall of Fame at Microsoft. So as an AI leader of all time. I don't know, she's number 10 or something on that of LinkedIn, biggest influencers. She goes around the world. So this is why, Brandon, I hate to brag about Miami, but man, not only does it have warm weather, but it's got the center of the AI universe is moving here. It's just not in California anymore. California is getting a little bit more restrictive. There's some new laws being passed that we can talk about later. But they're protecting people's rights, which is great. But Miami is just, it's not only South America, North America. I mean, it's the next point that everybody wants to come. And do you want to do a little ad for Miami and what's down here? So what's been your experience with, well, introduce yourself first, Oscar, and tell me what you're about and what your day job is and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm currently working as a software engineer, and my passion is by coding now. It's a new passion of mine that I learned recently. I joined a group, an online group called AI Builders. And since then, I've been so into it that I can't believe it. And I even have the opportunity to join you and do something fun with it. So every day I'm trying something new. I'm trying new tools. I try Lovable. I also try Cursor. I did a few things in Cursor as well. And I'm trying Google Gemini, Google Gemini 3. And I'm getting good results. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and the way that I met Oscar is, how long ago was it? Almost a year, probably.
More, maybe more.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago at Miami-Dade. So Oscar was asked by Noelle to see if he could make a chatbot. Not only did he make a chatbot, he loaded it up in 5 minutes and he trained it on a pizza restaurant, like real data. He grounded it in the basic data. He had it talking to us, just voice to voice. I mean, before this was even something anybody else did. Within 20 minutes, he had it up and running and speaking multiple languages.
Yeah.
And we spoke to it and we ordered a pizza for delivery in Spanish, or he did. I don't speak any Spanish, in English. And we've since even worked on not only chatbots that have audio back and forth, which you're going to see what we did with that. How cool is that? Brendan, you are ready to show off this, what we did during the time, right? Okay. Not only that, but yeah. So he had it talking to us, and I was kind of like, and then now he's starting to get where you can make an avatar of a real person. You can clone your voice, so you can be, hey, call up the Rick, the AI guy, and then ground it on that information. So I do want, as we walk through our hackathon, that's the three of us, the three Rocketeers, I'm going to call us, right? Because it's Starship, right? It's got to be the Rocketeers. Yeah. So we're the three Rocketeers. I'm going to walk you through the process. But what's cool about it is even I understood what he was doing because it's getting so easy that anybody can do it. So I'm going to start this little segment by shouting out to Brandon, because he said exactly what we all kind of know. And that is to use 10,000 minutes. That's a week at 40 hours a week of practice to get good at something, some little thing. And he created that thing in less than a week. How long did it take you to make the whole chatbot? And this is a while ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't take me that long, really. Once I learned how to do it, it took me like an hour, let's say.
I think we lost Brandon there for a second.
Oh, there he is.
Yes, I'm. My browser decided it wanted to take a holiday.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's not go any further. Let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen first, Brandon, if that's cool with you, and I'll just show, the lead up to the entire thing, to give you an idea of what we did. And let's go to there. So this is Lovable, and the event was Deep Station at the dock in Miami. So these are co-working spaces. So the dock, there's about 10 of them. That's why I'm saying it's the center of the universe. So it's right down in the heart of Miami in the Wynwood district, which is a very artsy kind of place to be, right? And it was partnered with OpenAI is one of the sponsors, and then Lovable sponsored this event. So these are ongoing every single week. There's another one of these kind of events. So we joined this, and this is what it was. It was a Miami-based hackathon. Shout out to the whole team from Miami-Dade, and you can see us there. So we're at the dock. That's the Miami lab. Like I said, there's 10 co-working spaces, bridging the tech divide through creative empowerment. So this hackathon was just 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and they used up all the time. Plus, we presented. So we hacked this thing together. You can see there that we're all together. And then there's Oscar at his computer. And what were you working on? I know you don't want to talk too much about it, but in addition to us working on our project, that's my laptop, and Oscar, Brandon got there just a little bit later. What were you working on, Brandon? If you not to give too much away, but while he's doing this, he's also working at his own little project that he's got.
Yeah, Oscar. Yeah, I know you're excited about that one.
Oh, no. Yeah. That question was for me or for Brandon?
I'm sorry, Oscar. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I've been working in several projects. One of them, it had to do with the Spanish simulator. So what happened is that next year we're planning to go to Spain, right? And my wife is trying to practice her Spanish. He does speaks a little bit, and she was trying to learn a little more. And I said, I'm gonna help her out. And in order to do that, I'm gonna create an app to do exactly that. So I created a little app that allows you to use pre-made scenarios in which you need to speak to the AI, and the AI will reply to you. So that way you have a chance to practice. But the different things that I did this time is create your own scenario. So that means that you can tell the system to create any scenario that you think about. For instance,
yeah. As a matter of fact, you were working on that project. You'd already kind of done it, I guess, and it was scenario based. So instead of your regular apps where you just start speaking and it kind of does it, is you create a scenario. Let's go for a job interview. Let me go out to dinner or lunch, right? And so what are the conversations? And then you set up a practice. Talk about 10,000 minutes, right? Brandon, can you introduce that concept and why this applies to exactly this thing? Is that, can you imagine in 10,000 minutes learning Spanish well enough that you can go to Spain and at least get around at breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Yeah, and so the concept that I've got in my 10,000 minute mindset book that launched a couple weeks ago is the concept that, yes, it takes 10 years to become a master, but to become functionally competent when you have AI in your back pocket, you need about a week, which is conveniently about 10,000 minutes, almost down to the second. And so by hard developing yourself in a focused manner towards a specific goal, you can learn with the help of AI, be it a new language or a new skill. You can learn out whether you like it or not, whether you have a knack for it, whether it's something you want to keep pursuing beyond that. And so the challenge becomes, when you can learn anything, how do you narrow that down? So that's what the book really helps you do, is focus your energy on something that is going to be relevant to your world.
So we had our challenge, and we knew we were going to the hackathon. So we got together a couple nights before and just kind of decided, well, which of all of our projects, because I've got so many planes in the air, man, with not even a full fuselage. I'm at 10,000 feet with just sucking oxygen, right? And the most exciting thing about this is I got to land this plane that I've been working on for 7 years. So to set it up, the idea was, I was a photographer for the Miami Herald, and I was there for the Mariel boat lift. And I saw tens of thousands of people come into our country and just step their foot and become citizens instantly. I photographed the immigration of Haitians that didn't have that luxury, and they were interred in Chrome detention camp. We did a story about that and got them all released and won a Pulitzer for the Miami Herald's editorial board based on photographs that we took of the inhumane conditions in that Everglades swamp of a place. And that's back in the 80s. And returned to the present, that Chrome detention camp got overloaded again, and they had to shut it down. And if you know about the alligator Alcatraz, as they call it in the news down here, right? They were trying to do it one more time and basically take them all and put them in the middle of the swamp so they couldn't escape. ICE agents are just this week in my city, in Wilton Manors, stopping people randomly and asking for their papers as if this is Nazi Germany. It's kind of scary. So that was my background impetus for this thing. And 7 years ago, Venezuela's collapse meant that 14 students in my class were from Venezuela. And like I do, man, I just say, whatever problem there is in the world, let's fix it, right? So I gave my students the assignment of fixing it. And so they came up with this brilliant idea called HelloUSA. Now, HelloUSA was based upon Que Pasa USA, which was a TV show that was very popular in the 80s, right when the Mario boat lift happened, right? That was in both English and Spanish. And if you can imagine, it was Archie Bunker in a family scenario. It was a comedy, hilarious as heck. It was filmed in Miami on a stage in both English. And so it was a family learning English and assimilating to the culture in the United States. So at the time, we had a different logo than this one. And this is what we vibe coded while we were there. That's created in Nana Banana with a transparent background in Gemini. And the idea was HelloUSA is the OS for citizenship, to bring the tired, the poor, and the shadows into the light of citizenship, a secure, private, AI-powered bridge from arrival to American. I love that. Your data is yours. Your future is ours to build together. Welcome home. So that was the start of what we did. So, Brendan, let's get you to talk about your process with Lovable and how you got started with us. So you can use Lovable with many people. How did that go?
Yeah, it went surprisingly well. So to take a step back, when your students had the idea 7 years ago, the technology did not exist to bring it to life. I mean, maybe if you had tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousands of hours, you could have built it. But on a student's budget, within a semester, it was not capable.
Yeah, all we had was screenshots that were just basic. They really weren't much at all. So
yeah. And so in the days and hours leading up to the hackathon, because again, we had only decided that we were going to do this particular project literally 12 hours before the hackathon started. So we did not have a whole lot of runway to get the plane off the ground, let alone land the plane on the other side. When we established that we were going to do this was going to be our moonshot, we fed Rick's imagery into ChatGPT and said, describe this in a way that I can take and put it into Lovable. And Rick, one of the things that I thought was amazing, came up with a Nano Banana slide that had the hex codes built into it for all the colors that they had picked for the app. And we gave that to Nano Banana, and it read the hex codes off the slide and put it into the Lovable prompt. So when we started with the Lovable prompt and hit execute on the first version of this inside of Lovable, it already had the right color scheme. It already had the right framework. So we had a leg up while everyone else is sitting there going, hi, what's your name? What do you want to build today? We're like 80% of the way there. And it was amazing. But I'll tell you what, we used every minute of those 3 hours that we had to build this. And we did so collaboratively, because with Lovable on the Pro plan, you have the ability to share and collaborate on workspaces. So if you've ever been working on a Google Doc together, same concept. You share the link, you log in, and you're able to see what your other co-collaborators are chatting about. if you send a prompt to Lovable, it freezes everybody's console and says, okay, I'm working, leave me alone. And then we go and talk to other people and think about what we were going to do next. But we really had to divide and conquer. So Rick was our designer and our lead visionary on the project. And Oscar, I still don't know what magic you worked with that code on the back end to train the AI chatbot to be able to give a citizenship test in real time, but color me impressed. And I was kind of that glue in the center that held it all
something
together.
I want to mention, it to me was a new experience to work in a team. Normally I buy code on my own and I don't have too much feedback, but it was a fun experience to have different team members doing different things for the same goal, right? For the same app. And that was pretty cool and something that I learned and I appreciate. And it's very powerful, I realized, because
so do you remember
you can produce something big.
Oscar, do you remember in our pitch what you said at the beginning? How did you introduce this project?
Something like instead of talking about, okay, first of all, I came to this country and I have many obstacles to overcome, like to get the citizenship, but instead of talking about my own experience, I'm going to show you how today we can accomplish something to resolve that problem.
Yeah, so then he said it in Spanish. And literally, I watched the audience just gasp because everybody there, it's Miami, right? 90% of people are bilingual, or in some cases, 50% if you ever go through the airport. Like I stopped at 5 different stands. They didn't speak a word of English. It was all Spanish spoken. So, it was a beautiful thing to kind of do it with partners who understood what it is to be a citizen. My family came in the 1700s, a long time ago, when the country was just being created. In fact, I think we were on the Freedom Ship. And so my entry to the company, wasn't easy. They had to go from potato famine or whatever was going on in Ireland at the time to come here and struggle to get here physically. And then to set up a life for themselves wasn't easy during those times, certainly. And immigration for your family, Brandon, I guess, was after World War II?
Yeah, just coming out of Eastern Europe and World War II, escaping for a better life and coming across the pond.
And then your family from Argentina, Oscar?
Yes, we are from Argentina. That's right.
Yeah, and that's within your lifetime. So you were born in Argentina and then came here?
Absolutely. I came here in 1995.
So what I want to point out to you here is I took the great wishes of these Venezuelan students, and let me tell you, it was heart-rending. They literally were extremely well educated. Their parents were doctors and lawyers and engineers. They were the only reason why they got out is because they had the money to do so. This is not a welcoming country anymore for immigrants. And it's a complete shambles because there's nobody here that calls himself a native unless you're Native American. And the rest of us are all immigrants. So we all come with this one wish, yearning to breathe free. And so the things that I thought about in the process is I listened to them talk about what their problems were: legal problems, language tutor, civics preparation, finding a school to put your kids. What are my rights and my safeties? So we basically took all those wishes and we put it into educated AI-powered interface. And we'll demonstrate this for real because it works, right? That's what's incredible. And so you could take your civics test and you could practice language every day. If you got a family of 5, you could get partnered with somebody in the States. So we made that. And then we had the collaborate. That's your whole community. It's the connection of where is stuff? Where do I find a community center? Where can I find some place to find out more? How can I get into a community chat and find out, what events are coming up and maybe some legal help here that's a little bit beyond just the basic legal questions that you might have? And then how do I know how close I am? Have I done this test or that test? And then one of the things that I thought about, actually, I'm not sure. I think Brandon came up with this idea. What if we made it English and Spanish? Obviously, when you're learning English, so all you do when you come in, what's your native language? Once you declare that, we'll be able to make this app work for you, whatever language your native one is. And then as you're learning English, you turn the interface over to English. So you see the last page, which is your documents secured on your phone, your visas, your 178S paperwork and everything else is secure on your phone. So if that ICE agent in my own city of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Wilton Manors, the gay capital of the planet, like literally the entire government is run by, it was gay men getting away from oppression in America when it wasn't safe during the AIDS epidemic. They created a beautiful city, which I call home. I'm an immigrant to this city, if you think about it that way. And having safe harbor, having your documents safe, and this biometrics. So this is communicating with you, and you don't have to identify yourself. So even the anonymous idea that you can do all of this, and then if you want to keep track of where you are, potentially in the future, it'll just be easier to know where the heck you are in the process and what you got to do. It should be as easy as getting a pizza delivered, right? Or calling an Uber. You should know who to talk to, and your appointment's coming up. So that's kind of amazing. So here's just the visual, and I'll go ahead, Brandon, hand it over to you to kind of demonstrate what this app is. So here we go.
You're
Brandon, mute. You're on mute, buddy.
Works better when it's on. We built this app on 3 pillars: educate, collaborate, and participate. I need a producer.
Okay, so just so you know, he's in the live app right now. This is not my screenshot. Okay.
No, screenshot.
That is a live lovable app window.
Yep. And if you want to play along, I've just posted the link inside of the chat window. So it's HelloUSA.lovable.app. So when we come in here, we want to meet immigrants where they are in their journey. So we have an AI-powered assistant that can help you learn a new language, can help you study for your citizenship test, can help you with legal questions and how to fill out that paperwork, and it can help you with just everyday questions of life. So if we ask it for preparing for the civics test, how can we help? It says, what is the supreme law of the land? Now, I could sit here and type my answer and have a chat back and forth with it. However, I may not be that good with typing. I may be on my mobile device. I may not be still learning English, but I can talk. And so I hit this microphone here and I can say, I think it's the Constitution. And not only is it going to interpret that and transcribe it, but it's also going to respond to me both visually and vocally.
Great job. The Constitution is indeed the supreme law of the land in the United States. It's the foundation of our government and protects the rights of all Americans. Do you know what the Constitution does?
I don't know anymore. But what we can do here is now have a community where we have
what it used to. That's the answer.
Exactly. What we can do here is have people, and this is still very much in prototype phase, but we have proof of concept where we say, I need to get a ride to my citizenship test. Can anyone give me a lift? And then post that. And just like next door, we've got that on the board. And if somebody gets in there and you can like it, you can reply to it, or you can flag it if it's inappropriate and it'll clear it.
Okay, so can we ask Oscar? So you basically, let me make sure I'm going to explain it as a 10-year-old, because I am when it comes to this. You focus the database that feeds these engines with the civics test by creating what? How did you go about creating the database that feeds the back end of this?
Right. My task was basically to create a sample data in JSON format, which is a format that AI uses to communicate and to display data. And then I created a data set for each scenario that we're trying to respond to.
So that would be language, civics, legal, and life?
Exactly. Yeah,
okay.
One for each one of those. So I create that data set in JSON format, and I moved that to the chat where Brandon took over and feed the our system with it, and the system put it in the right place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we're getting questions about life. Yeah, that's a fun question. Pizza is Italian or origin, definitely part of American culture. So yeah, so we've got language lessons. So that means you sit there and you say, you create a scenario. Talk to me. I'm applying for a job. Help me with questions I might be asked about a job, maybe something like that. Civics is to pass the civics test, so you'd be, have that kind of a bunch of things. So how difficult if someone's trying to think, can I do this myself? In fact, the voice is Lady Liberty. So we picked a voice that would sound like the woman who posed for Lady Liberty's statue, uh, Barmaromo or something. I think it was her name. This famous woman is quite beautiful. In fact, I started to create a chatbot. So then we get to the progress. So how difficult is it, Oscar, if I were to try to do what you did? So you basically went out and said, give me a database full of questions that would apply to civics lessons in the United States kind of thing, or what?
Yeah, basically it. The only difference is like I ask a specific format, right? I specify a JSON format, but even if I didn't, I could ask the ChatGPT LLM, for example, to produce sample data about specific subject, and I
Okay.
can define how many samples I want, how many records I want, and then
Okay.
that's going to give me a reasonable sample data that I can later use and feed into my chatbot. And
Okay.
basically, that's what we did here.
So could you have done that in Lovable completely, or is that something that you went elsewhere to do?
Probably Lovable would do it. Probably,
Right.
most likely it would do it. I'm just used to use ChatGPT to create
Yeah.
all data sets and just have a specific structure. I never tested it in Lovable.
I
But
have,
Maybe
and
Brandon,
what I can
Brandon
tell
needs
you,
to-
yeah, what I can tell you is that Lovable is really good at taking unstructured data, so just random bits of data, and putting it
Right.
into structure, putting it into JSON format so that the computer can read it, because it's now using Claude 4.5 Opus, and Claude 4.5 Opus is also really good at that, just like ChatGPT is really good at that. The key difference here is that what Oscar was doing, because he's a software architect, he wanted to know how the sausage was made. What Lovable does is assumes that I don't know anything about coding. I do know a thing or two, but I don't know enough to structure my own data into JSON. I don't really care how that happens as long as it works.
Wow.
So I put it into the black box, and out comes a Lovable prompt. It's perfect structure. It doesn't even show me the finished code. I can go in and look. I didn't look at a single line of code that HelloUSA was built on. It's all in the back end. It's built on Lovable Cloud, running on Gemini's APIs, and it just works. And if you think about it, the experience for me coding in Lovable is really like driving a car. Yes, you have people like Oscar that want to know how the car works and want to know what the ratio is of oil to gas. I just want to sit down, turn the key, and drive. And that's my experience with Lovable.
Yeah, this is kind of amazing because even the HelloUSA was an accident. I didn't ask it to create one, but when I was picking the color palette, which is red, white, and blue, of course, right, and yellow for highlight contrast, and originally it wasn't ADA compliant, meaning the American Disabilities Act. I know as a graphic designer, this is a new thing that we have to do at school, right? We got to make sure that every image has an alt tag built into it. So when I'm doing D2L, which is our learning management system, these are all things that I'm aware of. So what was kind of cool is I had the front. Can you go back to the homepage? Because I want you to take a look at the rudimentary buttons that you see there for educate, collaborate, and participate, which it didn't quite do the transparency perfectly. That's the little box lines around the edge. Those were all created by me just asking, give me a little bit fancier buttons. So it had your typical, it had your typical thing. And I told it what it was for. And then AI powered learning, practice English, civics, and understand your rights, find jobs, resources, and connect with others is collaborate, communicate connection. So all of that was me vibe coding, knowing my background, and all Oscar was doing is getting the databases that plug into this. So when you ask a question, you've got this I'll call it a refined group of data. So it's not wasting its time on all knowledge. You're taking a large language model that knows everything about everything, and you're saying, hey, focus, buddy. We just want to educate people about immigration status, and we just want to collaborate. We just want to create a database. So that JSON is the language of computers. And hexadecimal, I said it, give me these colors. So that's the actual color of the American flag's blue. And the red's the same way.
And what's amazing to me, Rick, is that the three of us had never met in person, and we just lockstep right in this hackathon and deployed this thing in under 3 hours. So if Oscar's building the car, I'm driving the car, Rick was over there like, hey, what if the car had a jet engine on it and spoilers? Man. And we were just like, Rick, let's land the plane. Let's pull the car into the parking spot.
Scroll down to the picture at the top, Brandon, because we were sitting there and we had nothing but buttons, right? And then all of a sudden I said, what you said to me, did it put a picture in automatically or something?
No, I put a standard picture. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a AI generated image of a family of immigrants, right? So we just told it what we were doing. Yeah, using Lovable. So this is not me generating that image. And I thought, oh my God, this is what the website's missing. So imagine if it was just the buttons, even though those are nice buttons, it would have been those buttons on the left where it says Home AI Assisted. That's what you would have gotten. And because I'm a designer and I'm throwing the moon at it. So let's go to the next page, community, I think, where you can see. So I know about interface design because I teach this for a living. So there is a family together in beautiful sunlight, right? So talking about giving an impression, a humanity to touch to it, right? And then scroll up a little bit there. I think there's some other parts at the bottom of that. These are things that I started thinking about. Well, what should it look like? It should be just very familiar. And your progress bar, I'm thinking about how do I make progress visible, and the citizenship status, and you can go through it. And then there is a nodal based thing. And then it even tells you what you're next to do. And then there's a progress bar, like you're getting your pizza delivered. Holy cow, the pizza's in the oven. Oh, the driver is driving. He's now 5 minutes away. And you get a text response. Getting into the country
should be delivered in less than 30 minutes. It's free.
Your next one's free, right? For the rest of your family, for getting grandma into the country. Wouldn't it be beautiful if the passage of immigration to the United States, which are the people who built America, those tired people yearning to breathe free, escaping just tyranny. They want a chance and an opportunity, and they take the worst jobs, and they come in and they built Miami. Miami was a crack den. Miami Beach had the most amazing million people come to Art Basel every year. You would have had to have armed guards from the federal government to protect you in 1975, because it literally was a crack den or old people who were dying. And I'm not joking, like all the ambulances went there to pick up dead bodies. I mean, that's what it was. It was a mortuary for all of Miami. The days of Jackie Gleason, being live from Miami Beach, right? The Jackie Gleason Playhouse was dead. And then all of a sudden, Cumans came in and they changed it. First, we had Miami Vice, and I photographed on the set of Miami Vice. I mean, it was a crazy place to be. And then we had the drug lords and everything. But guess what we got? We sponsored the World Cup, or we're gonna have an Olympics here, and we've had all of these things. We've got championship football teams and we've got the best business model and the AI Institute. And so Miami-Dade College is fully funded by Mark Cuban and NASA and the federal government to a tune of I don't know, $100 million. And they trained 10,000 educators across the United States in AI. They are the nexus point for what's next. That hackathon was sponsored by them and funds that they got together, because in Miami, in particular, all of South Florida, really, it's expanding in all way. Chris Fallone, who we had on our show earlier, he's doing a meetup group here in video, and they've already had 3 film festivals in AI down here. He's been entering so far mostly traditional made films, but he's now speaking at these events where he enters and wins competitions because his stuff is heartfelt. We got to have him back on the show. Here, he's one of our people with our new project we've got coming up, Festivus, which we'll talk about in a minute. So to kind of land the plane,
I've got two more things to say about this program from a coding standpoint. One, we knew that we wanted it to be in English and Spanish, and so initially we were saying, oh, we could just translate some of the buttons. And I'm like, wait, we have AI powering this. So I said, well, let's just make it Spanish. And I hit this button and the whole site turns into Spanish. So everything from the conversations to the experiences here.
That was just for asking for that, right?
Yes. And
you just asked
so
for
we hope to.
Amazing.
And then what did we do? We freaking won the competition for international.
We won the international category. It's really incredible and a testament to your vision, Rick, and your invite to bring us all together.
Yeah, and so it was so last minute. Literally, Brandon, what was it, Wednesday night? We were talking about it?
Yeah, Wednesday night.
And then you're on
72 hours later, I'm in Florida.
I received a text from Rick. He showed me the advertisement for this hackathon, and coincidentally, I thought about attending that hackathon earlier. And I said, but I was planning to go. So coincidence, we meet last minute. I mean,
and I got real emotional when we got this because it was the first plane of my 10 major projects that are on what I believe are world changing. And this is what I'll ask of anybody out there watching the show. You want to be part of this? You want to be part of changing the world? These three guys did it. We did it. We landed a plane. We landed a world changing application. Now, if you've got the ability to make this for real, all you got to do is say yes. I've already got 2 people reached out to me since the event. And I've been talking to the Hispanic Heritage Foundation for the state of Florida. I happen to have met someone, but now I've got a product to show him. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. We put some thought and energy. Basically, in less than 24 hours, we made this thing happen. This weird band of different brothers or different mothers came together as immigrants to America and made the potential solution for making it easier and being more inclusive. So I can't tell you. I mean, I was in tears talking to Brandon till 4 o'clock in the morning, as I always do, but I didn't think Brandon would be there in the pool, heated at 93 degrees, by the way. So that was pretty excellent, right?
And I tell you what, I didn't really know what to expect walking in. It was my first hackathon, and I'm sitting on the plane at 8 a.m., like 48 hours after we had this conversation. I'm like, okay, we've got an immigrant, a college professor, and a Jew from Cleveland. We're going to change the world. And we did. I mean, we really deployed this thing and got it live. But the strangest part for me, no matter what happens from this point forward, nothing will be stranger than me walking into that room on 48 hours notice, no sleep, and I sit down in the front row, and the first thing that they say is, and now we'd like to welcome our mentor, Brandon from Cleveland. And I look at Rick, and he looks at me, and I'm like, what the heck? And I start standing up because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm here for it. And then somebody in the back room goes, oh, thanks for listening. There was another Brandon from Cleveland. He lives 10 minutes down the road from me, and he flew down for this hackathon. And just what a coincidence.
Which is crazy. So he was one of those people that kind of floated around. And if you got stuck on something, these are people that have landed many planes, right? And they just came around and helped us out. So now he's going to partner with us because that's why you go to a hackathon. We met at least a dozen people that are potentials. A lot of the times, the thing about the AI is that 10,000 minutes, right? But it's also going to do something that you didn't think you wanted to go to, like Oscar, right? You're like, oh, I thought about that. That'd be great, but I don't have anybody to go with. And it's, it's expensive to park. I think I paid $25 for parking, on the street. And then I get down there and I'm like, man, there's 500 more points of light pointing right here with me. And we got to land the plane as a band of brothers together. So just find who that is. Show up at the AI Institute. AI Salon, excuse me. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And you have some stuff, I think, about that.
Tell you what, your parking was cheaper than mine at the airport. But what was really interesting,
Right. So $40 to
is
get
that
an Uber, and there he is.
I actually spoke with the other Brandon from Cleveland earlier today, and they're getting an AI brunch series going in the first quarter up in Cleveland, and they want to partner with me to bring a lovable hackathon to Cleveland because, and I kid you not, talking about serendipitous time, he goes, yeah, I really want to do the lovable thing in Cleveland. I just need somebody here that knows lovable. And I'm like, I'm your guy.
So you had to fly down from Cleveland to meet a guy named Brandon from Cleveland to go back home and start a hackathon theory right there. And then my big thing, and I don't know if this is possible, but my 10 other planes are still up in the air. Wouldn't it be great if we gave you 10 planes at a hackathon and we all meet in Cleveland? And I'm flying up there because I fly for free, man. So I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna try to be there before. It's like Brandon literally came in.
I thought about this, Rick.
11:30.
I thought about this. Yeah, I thought about this, Rick. And conceptually, it sounds good, but the thought of you running around that room trying to fly all 10 planes, we might have a little bit of air traffic control issue there, but we'll talk about it. But Oscar, I know that you have got another project that you're working on for another hackathon this week in Kaggle. So Kaggle is owned by Google or Alphabet, and they put on another hackathon. And I had texted Rick and I said, hey, you want to land another plane this week? Life got in the way. We got busy and, it hasn't happened. But Oscar's like, oh, I'm already on that. I'm doing something else. So Oscar, I know the hackathon is still open. So I don't know how much you want to say on the air live on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, I received an email like a few hours ago. And they say the deadline is approaching. You need to submit your project, right? But fortunately, I submit my I finished my project today, and that project was one of the requirements was to provide a video with the project, and I also finished the video that I shared with you guys, and I started doing little pieces of the video before the Lovable Hackathon. Actually, I did one video. Everything started with an image that I have.
Can I share the project? Because I got the screens from what we started with the hackathon.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And I've also got the video too, if you want to show it.
You can show the video if you want. I mean, that's okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, that would be awesome. I'd be honored. Thank you so much. So, well, you can explain, but basically his app scans your face and then it creates this incredible thing. So while we're sitting there with only 3.5 hours to finish the entire thing,
we practiced.
Yeah, I think this was actually before the event. We got there, both of us got there early. So it looks at my skin age and I look like I'm 69. I think that, overall health score. And it shows me what the problems are. So I took that information. So I took this, literally sent these 2 pictures over to Gemini. And I said,
Rick, your screen's not sharing it, just so you know.
Oh, it's not sharing?
Yeah, we lost your screen share at some point.
Oh, let me go back and code back in. Okay. All right. So share one more time.
Yeah, Oscar's like, one hackathon in a week isn't enough. I need
I need another one.
Right. Yeah. So he's calling us and saying, hey, you ready to be involved in this next hackathon? Okay. So let me go back. Now you see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we see that.
Okay. Yeah. And you'll see what it looks like from his end because he's finished this product. But this is the data that came out. And I thought to myself, oh, this is a design problem I'd love to solve. So here you got all this information. So it tells you what products, what you should use and how you should use it. Gently massage, the cleanser, the treatment, the moisturizer. And then it gives you an actual link to buy the products. I guess you originally coded this for one company. Is that correct?
It's for a person who has a business for skincare products.
Okay. So it was pulling from speaking of databases, it pulled from the database to have her products come up and tell you how those would affect your end result. So here's a breakdown on the right of my progress, where my start point was. So I literally, this is the prompt I gave to Gemini to create the banana image on the right. It took that data and then reformatted it to this information. and then it told you the product. So then I said, so the top third, the skin assessment at the top with images like this. So it talks about hydration. It shows you close-ups of the different parts. And I learned a lot about, about your skincare. And
Me
in fact,
too. I'm learning a lot.
I started doing a deep dive about it. So the second part is the products listed from Amazon. And what I wanted to know is why it is necessary and how do you apply it? So you can see on the right, it tells you this information. So I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of cool. And then the third part, and this is just me thinking about it, because my daughter happens to work for not Ulta. She used to work for the other big company, Sephora, yeah, Sephora and Ulta. And so I know a lot about this. So she gave me all these test things for doing my face. And I looked at them as, I don't know what to do with these products. So I photographed 27 products she gave me, little sample things. And I said, well, I got dry skin. And obviously my skin's not that good. I got type 2 diabetes. I didn't realize there's a huge problem with dryness and type 2 diabetes that makes you look old, too soon. Anyway, so, okay. So that's kind of cool. So I did it before in my health kind of journey. And I thought, well, how do I put it on? So the daily application is at the bottom with, as you can see, demonstrating how to use the products. And there you go. So how and why I use the products, and it keeps on going. Okay. So now I'm going to hide this for a second. Give me just a minute to call up my second project, which I think, in fact, you can... and I don't think I want to show this, but what I'm going to do is go over and show the video for your product. Or is there anything you wanted to show ahead of time?
No, that's okay. You can show the video.
Okay. Trying to remember where this sucker is. Because I had it just a minute ago. Yeah, go ahead and talk about the product to take me off.
Yeah. Basically, the app was started in my mind with an image that I have, and then we went from there because I had that image in my mind and I did it, and that was the beginning of the project. And that image is on the app itself.
Okay, hopefully you'll be able to hear the sound on this. I'm going to play it a little bit loud and put my speaker up to it. Tell me if you can hear the sound here.
Welcome. Are you ready to revolutionize your skincare routine? Introducing DermaVision AI, your personal skincare scanner. DermaVision AI is the cutting-edge app designed to bring personalized expert skin analysis right to your fingertips. The world of skincare can be overwhelming. Generic advice often fails because every person's skin is unique and constantly changing. You need a solution that truly understands your skin's specific needs. Welcome to the future of skin analysis. DermaVision AI combines advanced mobile scanning with powerful artificial intelligence to decode your complexion like never before. Our core feature is the revolutionary skin scanning capability. Simply use your phone's camera to capture a detailed image of your skin. The technology works by leveraging your phone's optics combined with sophisticated image processing to gather detailed data on texture, tone, and underlying conditions. Once the image is captured, our advanced AI algorithms instantly analyze for issues like acne, redness, fine lines, dryness, and uneven pigmentation. Based on this deep analysis, DermaVision AI generates truly personalized skincare recommendations. No more guesswork. You receive tailored suggestions for products and routines that are scientifically proven to address your specific skin concerns and goals. DermaVision AI isn't a one-time scan. Track your skin's progress over days, weeks, and months, allowing you to see the real-world impact of your personalized routine. What does this mean for you? Immediate tangible benefits that simplify your life and improve your skin health.
Hi there, Natasha. I'm DermaVision AI. I've just taken a look at your skin. Would you like me to give you a brief summary of the analysis, or do you have specific questions you'd like to ask?
By following the science-backed guidance of DermaVision AI, you can achieve clearer, healthier, and more radiant skin than ever before. DermaVision AI is your partner in achieving your best skin. It's smart, personalized, and easy to use. Ready to get started? Go dermavision.com and start your skincare journey for better health. Start your journey to better, healthier skin right now.
Look at this. Oh my God. This is gorgeous. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just blew me away. I'm just still beside myself. So,
it's really good in production quality too, by the way, on that video.
Thank you.
I don't know how you put that together, but that came together
how
really
did you
nicely.
make the video? Let's start there and then go back to the beginning as to your process, right?
So, yeah, I have something specific in mind, right? When I started, and was that lady with a phone in front of her and some effects. I wanted to create some kind of technical effects, or something special. So I tried different programs to do images. I used Nano Banana, and I use Gemini, Nano Banana, and I use ChatGPT, and I couldn't get exactly what I was looking for. And then I tried Ideogram, and in Ideogram, it gave me what I wanted.
Yes.
It gave me that initial image that I wanted. I also did the special effects on the left side. So this is the image.
Yeah.
So I want this image to be in my app. So I have some trouble putting that image in my app, actually, because it did not allow me to put that in the actual repository of code. I needed to host that image in another server of mine and provide a link to it. So it will use it directly from the link.
What are you using? So you're using Gemini's product for doing this?
For doing the app, yes. I'm using Gemini, Google AI Studio, which is right now using Gemini 3, which is the latest release. And it's amazing, really. It's amazing. It was giving me what I wanted. And the fun thing about this is that you have some components that you can plug into your app if you want to add specific functionality. So I know about that because I did some tests, and I did it for the Spanish one, and I thought that the voice activation would be very cool, and the vision, of course, to create that scan effect. That was fun to do, really fun.
So the video, though, so you had ideogram image, which is fantastic in text. In fact, I've always noticed that one of the problems with Nano Banana, yes, it can do I've done 3,000 characters without a spelling mistake, but sometimes you get the smearing effect of the text, and small print does not work. So here's three things I want to add to the value for the public watching this. Number one, ideogram is the best for text fidelity. It's not, and it can be trained on a character, which means you can upload a picture of yourself and say, take this picture of the skateboarder and put my face on it. Yes. So it has character, it has stylization. So you can say, take the style from this and apply it. What it doesn't do well at is it's not a big thinking model. So Google Nano's Banana and also ChatGPT's engine, which is 10 times slower, unless they're coming out with a new version, which I hear is coming soon. So the new version will be a ChatGPT instead of the DALL-E
Of course
model.
they are.
Yeah, of course they are, because we don't have enough toys to play with and test out. So,
Sam did say that next week, during ironically the week of Hanukkah, that they're going to be dropping some Christmas presents. So stay tuned to X. And I said,
and December 25th is the launch.
It is the 8 nights of launch. That's got to be what it is. Why? You did ship this last year.
Out today. So look for that. And evidently, early testers have already said, so you can look on YouTube and you can watch them talk, like they're going goo goo gaga for bananas, but now the bananas are coming from the tree of ChatGPT. So it makes us all great, right? So you're going to get that fidelity of text. You're going to get it faster, because that was the big thing. I made my entire children's book, all 64 images, with probably 1,000 hours just to make the images and get the consistency of character. So what they're doing with both of these two models that are competing for the top is they take the brain power. So you can say, do a cross section of an individual cell down to the micrometer and label it exactly what it is. It's got all the knowledge of everything about that, right? So what Lovable is doing and what AI Studio are doing is basically putting the brains of all knowledge at your fingertips. And what you guys do, whether you realize it or not, is by focusing and telling it, hey, this is just to pass a civics test, and this is just for English lessons, right?
I want to add something.
Please.
Add something that there was another image where you see a lady. There's a video of the lady putting the phone in front of her, and she's reflecting in the mirror.
Yeah.
So this is another picture from. Actually, this one was from Nano Banana. The picture.
Okay. Yep. Makes sense.
But then I use VO3, Google VO3, to animate that picture.
Right.
And so
you're doing a start frame, and then it adds. So VO3, which is by whom?
Google. Of course.
Google is their video engine that you put in the picture. It gives you audio, so you can actually type actual dialogue. Sometimes it works. How many times did you have to do it before you got? And then where'd you get the voiceover too? He
created the voiceover. No. The voiceover is another story. I tell you that later. Because that particular video doesn't have a voice, have special effects, sounds.
Okay.
Sounds effects, right? So VO3 created those sounds effects, but I had to iterate like 2-3 times until I got it. Because if you notice, I don't know if you noticed this, but the lady is blinking.
Yes.
Right? So I wanted to synchronize the blinking on the mirror with the blinking of the person that is in front of the mirror. And it didn't work at first, but I worked it out and it did work. And also it synchronized with the blinking on the phone. The face on the phone also blinking. So you have 3 blinks that are happening at the same time, right? So I thought that was great. I mean, that was. So, I love that video.
I just want to point out, Rick, that. Well, hang on, Rick. It's important to point out. People talk about AI slop. People talk about AI, isn't a real tool. In the right hands, with the right minds behind it.
You can do this.
AI is absolutely a tool and absolutely something that it's a craft that you have to work on, just like everything else. Maybe you can get to things faster, but it is a partner. It's not cheating. You have to work just as hard. I was thinking, actually, Rick, that in the amount of time it took you to do your original children's book with all the iterations you went through, it was probably faster to go out and hire a human illustrator.
Yeah. Literally, I could have learned how to draw and draw it by hand in the time it took me, because it was 4 minutes per image. It was excruciating, and then it was always wrong, and the cat would change and everything. So character consistency was bullshit. I did it in Midjourney. Midjourney couldn't do it because it didn't do that particular style, or didn't have a style reference at the time I did it. Right. This is a year ago. So in a year, now I can put it into that node-based thing in Crea. I can put the still image. I can type in the story. The mother will talk to the daughter in natural language, and then I can have it go to the next mode and do the next story, because I've written the book, and I'll have a feature-length motion picture of animated characters going through the entire story, which is what I did in Google's storybook. So I had my friend's niece come over the other day, and I just said hippopotamus in a helicopter picks up Laura, that was her name, and her daughter, and they go on a helicopter ride over the ocean. They dive into the ocean and talk to sea turtles. So there I had it, a picture book that had all the images of a beautiful hippo. I'm, weirdly doing this bizarre thing I asked. Literally in 5 minutes, the little girl was sitting there in rapture watching this thing and listening to the voice of a storyteller telling a story.
And if you're looking to do that on your own, it's through Gemini, and it's their custom storybook gem. So you go to gems on the left side of your gemini.google.com panel, and you'll see gems, and then you can see the storybook gem, and that one is there, and it's free to use.
I want to give you another secret for my video.
Yeah.
Because you all asked me, how do you make that video?
Yeah.
Because
and the time you had
the narration is almost flawless, right? The narration is great.
And the little pull-in sliders of text too.
Yeah, exactly. But Google, once again, has a new tool called Google Beats. And Google Beats is similar to PowerPoint, but you can incorporate video into it. Actually, you use the AI to say, for example, how I started this video. Oh, I need to create a presentation to show the capability of my Vision AI app. That specialize in skincare. That's all I said.
Yeah.
Right? And he created the whole dialogue, I created the narration. But there's something more interesting, even more interesting, is that you can edit the narration. The narration is segmented by slide. So you double click on the narration, you have the text. You can change the text of the narration. So you change the narration. And
I'm glad somebody found another use for Google Vids, because I was like, why is this any different than VO or any of the other models? But it's just vids.google or google.vids or something like that. But it's basically video inside of Google Docs is what it comes down to.
They got a fractured bunch of tools. So if you go to AI Studio, you'll see probably 80 different tools that do sound effects and do voiceovers, make the all these gems and everything else. What's sort of interesting is that they're now one of the most important things I learned from design was from my 6th grade teacher, and I'm not making this up. He said, what's the difference between cars the way they used to be made? So you had a fender, and then you had a light, and then you got a Corvette, unibody construction. So Gemini is this fractured ecosystem of 1,000 products that don't integrate together, and they're now gelling. And so now the large language model has eyeballs. And then it can listen to you and say, hey, I'm trying to make a commercial to pitch deck for this product. And then you can say this. So it still had to rely upon our expertise. Oscar, with his background of getting that JSON to kind of work and understand how that works. The same with Brandon, is to know how things work in traditional software ways. And then me to know the hexadecimal codes and ADA compliance for disabilities, and then to privilege that information to make it a really spectacular thing. And that's why we won the competition, because we came from these. What's that?
Go ahead and land that plane. Go ahead and land that plane, and then I'm going to turn to pivot.
Yeah. So my Think Different book is about that concept. It's about how do I occupy the space of a scientist, of Miles Davis playing the trumpet and vibe coding, to a meditator who transcends their body and looks at things from the outside, or first person, folks. So how do I? Yes, you're going to bring up the Festivus thing. So
So if you want to learn how to do what we do,
there we go.
Join us at AI Festivus. So this is AIFestivus.com. It is the 2nd annual. It's put on by Kyle Shannon of the AI Salon and Anne Murphy of She Leads AI. And it is 2 days, 12 hours each day. So 24 hours of programming, and it's all free.
And you're going to want to stay up all night to watch it. I am not joking. They did it. So it started a long time ago with ChatGPT 3, right? And it started
a long time ago, 2 years ago. Yeah. In the back, way back in the 2024s, right. Or 2023s, or rather, we started out with GPT for Good. So it was right after the GPT store came out and everyone was making custom GPTs on the GPT store and they were going to monetize it. They said, let's help nonprofits build it. And they did a hackathon, a 24-hour hackathon, and it ended up being 150 GPTs made in 24 hours for nonprofit orgs. That became AI Festivus, which last year was an insanely crazy time of basically being up for 24 hours straight. Kyle and Ann were both fried, and they put it together within like 2 weeks, and they had thousands and thousands of people touring, and it's all free. You know, people are paying upwards of $5,000-$6,000 for this type of content on the regular. We're putting it out there free because it's important to get the communication out there and be in the conversation. And I'm pleased to announce the cat's out of the bag as of a couple of days ago that both Rick and I are going to be speaking at AI Festivus. So we will be taking 2 of those hours. Oscar, you're welcome to come and hang out with us anytime and tune in. But I would strongly encourage you, if you've catching this, but it's going to be the 26th and the 27th. So it's the 2 days after Christmas. You get to spend Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with your family. And by Friday, you're going to be sick of them, or they're going to be sick of you talking about AI. So say, come learn with us.
Yep. And it's really a fun group of people. They each got an hour. I'm going to be talking about NotebookLM, which is our tonight's tool time. But before I do that, I wanted to share a couple other things. You know, you do have to go to aifestivus.com to register. It is free. And if you want to pay a little extra, you can get the recording. So you don't have to stay up 24 hours straight. And let me tell you, you're going to want to watch these again and again and again because it's pretty cool. So we've got diverse people. We've got bakers.
Just to get through it all because he goes in so many different directions. You're going to want to watch Rick's back at least 4 times. And you'll get something different out of it each time you go through it.
Well, and the cool thing about AITV Starship is that all of our stuff is there. That archive is really pretty spectacular. And I'll also share that I've started a new thing called Moonshots, where I put together these very deep dive intellectual conversations from NotebookLM. I'll demonstrate that as I kind of walk you through the tool time segment. Are we getting close to that time, Brandon? Another 20 minutes.
We are. I mean, we are past that time, but it's your show. You can go as late as you want. I got to bounce over to the Learning Lab here in a little bit, but you feel free to I'll come back after and see if you've finished. Because once you open the can of worms that is NotebookLM, you tend to get lost in it.
I have a tendency to go just a little bit deep.
Before we go there, I do want to, so please join us for Festivus. And then I did want to share this one other thing that I caught this week that caught a lot of people's attention, and that's McDonald's. McDonald's launched a ad campaign, and it was an AI-generated ad. And I thought it was a pretty decent ad. And it caught so much backlash that they ended up pulling the spot. So I just want you to watch this and let me know what you think. I'm not sure if either of you have seen this yet.
Okay.
It's the most terrible time of the year. All the shops turn to mayhem, even Santa knows space, and the tree redecorates your place. It's the most terrible time of the year. The roast turns to charcoal, and the cookies burn too. Freaking chaos, it feels like a zoo. It's the most terrible time of the year. So you flee from the madness, the lights, and the cheer, and hide out in McDonald's till January's here.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm surprised Grandma did get run over by the reindeer. I mean, that's the only thing missing there, right?
Sure. But I mean, like, that's an arguably good ad. It's an arguably well-crafted ad. And there were a couple of pieces that were janky, but the first time through, I was like, is this AI or are they just like killing these actors? And you know what blows my mind with this is that in any other world, we look at movies, we go to watch movies and we see Spider-Man flying around and we see Elphaba casting spells and Harry Potter playing. We don't question like, oh, that's not real. That's they're obviously using. Nobody thinks that Harry Potter is actually flying around on his wand.
Right.
But the moment you put it in a commercial and it like something changes, people are like, oh my god, it's AI, it's evil.
Yeah.
Like it's a entertainment.
I mean, look
spot.
at any James Cameron movie. I mean, I guess there were some practical sets for Titanic and stuff, but
Wait, you mean
Avatar.
they really didn't sink the boat? They didn't really. I knew he could have fit on that boat. I knew she could have made room for him on that door at the end. That's all.
And so we fight back against it because we think it's going to take our jobs and whatever. But look at us. I've never been more happy in my life. I mean, to be able to do what we did, and I have another project. I'm not going to go into my new mission, a new skincare idea for how to change the world and save all the plastics. I mean, that's another thing for another day as we get closer to it. I also realized, in fact, for all three of you, I'm going to say this right on air. One of the Festivus speakers is a lawyer. And so I've reached out to her because all this stuff needs to be protected. So if you think these are great ideas, don't go off and make them yourselves because we'll sue you. We're going to have lawyers.
I mean, execution is hard. That's what I think. That's what we realized in doing the hackathon. That everyone there had an incredible idea. There was a dog dating app. There was somebody else, who does a bunch of different. I love
those guys. Because they get up in there, what's going on. It's a bunch of bros that want to meet some women out there by walking their dog. And so you get to talk about the dog. What's a good park? Let's do a review. Like it starts off that way, but it's all about meeting some girl and having your Labradoodle come up to the guy. And then you're going to pet their dog. And then next thing you know, you're off having a good time. So yeah, it's sort of, there was a dance app that basically privileged dancers to be able to show off their work and maybe teach. There was one that brought food catered to your home, custom made. So if you have a particular thing, you connect with a chef. So it was a chef dating app. That was pretty cool. These are all incredible things that that was a chef who did that. It was a couple of horny guys that did the other app. I mean, it's a couple of us immigrants making this one. And it's all doable in 3.5 hours. But all of our lifetimes, right?
I like the one, the guy who did a chatbot that he spoke English from here, but the receiver was in another language receiving the messages. So he can talk to his grandmother who doesn't speak his language. So that was cool.
That's it. Yeah. And those are now built into the Apple earphones. And they've been on Pixel for a while, right? That automatic translation. So if they're wearing device. So, yeah, I mean.
I think his unique perspective was that on that particular app, not only did it transcribe in real time, but then it brought it into a lesson. And you could, instead of Duolingo, instead of learning how to learn the language, you could actually learn from your past conversations with actual people in your life. And I thought that was a really unique angle.
Yeah.
So there are so much cool things happening.
As Oscar said, he had done this for his wife already, and then he's watching those guys do it also, and he's like, "That's my idea." So I want to bring a big picture think about this to you, right? As we get down to our tool time and also ending our deep dive and say goodbye to this, and that is that simultaneously around the world, the camera, photography was invented, while the French, Daguerre, who stole it from a guy who died, Nietzsche. If you didn't know that story, that's a very interesting story. He'd invented, so in the world at that time, the technology of a lens that could focus light, of a plate coated with photosensitive material, all happened inside a black box. Well, that Fox Talbot invented it at the exact same moment in England. And there were 4 other people. The same with the Lumiere brothers creating motion pictures and the zoetroposcope. And that was done by Edison and his group. So the radio, Marconi. And so it's this rush for the patent, for the intellectual property rights. What's interesting is we are living in a zeitgeist world. So this is the deep think, that all of us are having these epiphanies of projects we've wanted to do forever. But it takes a man whose mother died of cancer to want to cure it, to use these tools for that purpose. It takes a bunch of immigrants that are proud of their status and want to welcome more to join us, to make with their entire lives, my 66 years, and I know you guys are a lot younger than I am, but all of your lifetimes were leading up to this moment where now we can actually land the plane. So to tell you that it was an existentially profound moment for me to land that plane on a project that started 7 years ago because of a problem that Venezuelan students had that I wanted them to solve for themselves. That's what education is. Give them all a North Star projects. If we all had a North Star project, so think about this. Let's add to your 10,000 minutes, Brandon. Let's say that what is the one thing you'd like to change about the world? Your mom dying of Alzheimer's and not knowing your name for 7 years? That's one of mine. I want to cure that. I want to champion this so that I realize that it takes humans to even give a damn about any of these things. None of this happens with AI. AI is like my camera. All I'm doing is pressing my finger. But at 66 years of pressing my finger 10,000 times and knowing that when the image comes out, it'll affect you profoundly and make you think about it. It is the superpower of humanity that we've tokenized in an image. 1 billion words. If I say 9/11, that is 1,000 trillion words. It's actions where people died in Iraq because of that word, right? Harry Potter for a better sound, right? The hero's journey. So we're all basically at a nexus point where AI can work as our guide on the side, as our lovable companion. Ooh, now I'm not, this is gonna be the sound bit. Our lovable companion for all humanity to get cancer solved, to get all of these issues, immigration solved, is to decide what am I born of purpose to do? What is my ikigai, my reason for being on this planet? And then to go for that North Star and know that you can achieve it, because humanity is the answer to humanity's problems. AI will never fix it on its own. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming with me on that beautiful journey to get to this beautiful place.
Thank you for bringing it all together, Rick. And thank you, Oscar, for joining us. I know it's a last minute invite, but that's how we do things here.
Yeah. Oscar, you have any last words before we move on to the Tool Time segment?
Well, I learned a lot about the hackathon working with you guys, so I want to do more of that.
That's yes. All. Yeah. And
we'll all be back in Miami next year.
We got to get T-shirts with our picture on it, and we're going to be the astronauts.
Okay.
The Starship astronauts. There we go. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Oscar. And so, Rick, I'm gonna. If you want to get NotebookLM up, I'll cue the tool time. I'm gonna duck out of here. I'll probably, depending on how long you go, I might pop in back in right at the end. Otherwise, you know how to end the stream. Please, if you have any ideas on how we can improve HelloUSA or any of others, Rick's Moonshots, we carried them on it. We did a special Moonshots Tool Time last week, right before we left for Miami. So he listed 3 or 4 of them in that last Tool Time. So you can go ahead and check that out. But tonight, Rick, before I go, again with the NotebookLM. This is our third tool time on NotebookLM. I feel like we're coming back to the old themes, but I know that you've spent some time. So just set this up. What were you talking about here?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about NotebookLM, but we're going to talk about style. How do you get what you want visually out of it? So you've got the ability to make an infographic, got the ability to make a slide deck. I'm going to show you the secret inside and how to get the best out of it and use it for education and many other purposes. So they haven't added anything too much, but I've been now using it for literally 1,000 hours again as I go through my 20,000 hours a week kind of process. And so that's where I'm going to pick up tonight on Tool Time.
Minutes to master, tools to explore. Let your imagination soar like never before. AI Tool Time with Rick McCarley, where your digital dreams come true.
Ignition.
Rick McCauley, the AI guy. Tonight, yes, we're going to go back to NotebookLM. So there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. And tonight, I'm talking about all the different projects I've done, literally 300 in the last week alone. And that means I've made infographics, I've made an audio overview or video overview, I should say, and we'll take a look at some of those. And I've made slide decks for each one of them. Just to get you started, Dario Amodei's idea of a machine of loving grace, that AI can be aligned with us for our greater good, brought me to take this image of myself and to upload a picture, a majestic, benevolent angel spreading large wings, holding flowing ribbon banner, reading machine of loving grace. On the left side, the dark, stormy clouds with personifications of gluttony and greed, offering sweets and temptations. On the right side, radiant golden light, illuminating a diverse group of gentle angels representing the global humanity and virtue. High detail, dramatic lighting, museum quality masterpiece. And I think I added a golden frame. And look at this. This is Gemini. I uploaded that one picture of my face, and look at what it gave me. So the Renaissance style is what I'm suggesting that it do. There is greed and avarice and gluttony and all the rest of the 7 deadly sins on the left. So this was a project I did on what is our impediment? What's wrong with us? So the deep dive in my intellectual thinking that I do at least 2 or 3 hours every night before I go to bed, as I say, how do we align ourselves so that we get rid of? In fact, I think we should evolve past the 7 deadly sins. They were there born of a purpose. So the idea of a man, a biological man in the Cro-Magnon days, is you drag as many women into the cave so that you could have the most offspring, so you could be the most successful in spreading your seed. Well, that doesn't work for us anymore, unless you're Donald Trump, of course. And of course, he's worthy of every single one of the 7 deadly sins, and he's the poster child for them. But I think that's what stops us from being better humans. So what are gentler angels? So Machine of Loving Grace, if you don't know about this, was not only a song back in the 60s, but it was also as we move in through technology. So I've been talking about this and thinking about this in all of my music and all of my plays and all of who I am, is to be born of the purpose, to always give and share, to be of service to the entire community and the world, to have moonshots like we just witnessed that I'm landing, and I need your help to do it, is to be the better version of myself every day. This is my born ikigai. This is me looking at my background and knowing that inside of me is the serotonin hit of wanting to have more money and have more women and have more this and have more that. Eat too much. All right. That's why I'm a type 2 diabetic. So I'm guilty of these, but it's time that as we build this God-like character, the artificial intelligence that we've made, that we align it to work for us, to speak to our greater angels of our idea. So this is how I couched it. So I started thinking about the news of today, right? And so I saw someone posting that China has a new law already enforcing it, mandating that all AI-generated content must be clearly and technically labeled. So this is how I'm using large language models. I'm using Gemini in this case. And I fed this article that was on an Instagram post that listed these 3 different things. So the second one is the EU Act, full force 2026, next year, requires AI generators to add a machine-readable truth label to any synthetic content with fines of 15 million euros for failure to comply. So that means Facebook, if they want to do business over there, is going to have to put that label on there. They have gotten away with hell in this process. Then California has AB 853. That's a game changer, stated to come out in 2027. It's a state law that has global implications. It makes it illegal for large platforms to knowingly strip out the provenance data. So Adobe's content authenticity, the C2PA that Adobe makes, that indelibly puts in there a truth label, say this is made AI, and it keeps a provenance list if you add AI augmentation to it, already in force on LinkedIn. Every picture as you upload it on LinkedIn has a CP in the top corner if it was AI generated, like this picture you see on the right. So how do I get to this illustration? Let's take a look at who's here. So the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, is in a top hat because I asked for it. So I first go over to Gemini and I do research on these three things. And I produced over 30 pages of documentation about what the laws are, how that trend is happening, how Adobe's efforts, which to this point have gotten buy-ins by 90% of the planet. But the evil Meta, who because of the 230 law during the Clinton administration, has immunity. So they strip the data out. Now, there is data you want to strip out. Your home address. If a picture of your kid shows up, you certainly don't want them to be able to find your child. Cool. But the metadata that says this is an AI-generated image, that's a goldmine for Meta as far as profits. They strip it out on purpose, so you go looking for, is this a real picture or not a real picture? So the idea is this truth in nutrition. So this is how Adobe talks about this. It's a nutrition label to tell you if this content is AI or if it's just photograph or where its origin is. And it keeps a provenance list to see what tools you used on top of it. Provenance is a word that comes from owning art. Who owned the Degas before you bought it for $10 million? And then what happened to it next? And how does it trace back to Degas as this being an authentic piece of artwork? That's the proof we need in a world full of fake news. So I added Meta, the black shirted person who scraped out their identity so you don't know who they are. I added the white hat hackers in the back end trying to fix this. Also, Gemini has joined Adobe. They have, when you create this image on the right, they have their own hashing, which is an indelible watermark that goes into it. You remember the Napster moment, and they tried all these techniques and tried to add copyright protection so you couldn't, hack it. And then, of course, Napster shows up and strips off that content. That's the lawlessness we're at right now. Why? Because it makes profit for Meta and companies like it, who are extracting from our knowledge and are taking advantage of our dopamine centers to have you sitting there like crack cocaine and getting on TikTok and just watching one after another. So I made this image. I had a Chinese woman there. I had the EU AI Act, a soldier over there, a knight in shiny armor. So I vibe coded this into existence and I say, make it like a barcode that's on a product that's signed to say this is nutritious or not. So that's my thought process as an illustrator. I teach illustration design. So then I started, and again, every morning I start with an idea that I see from a long time ago. So I was around in 1980. I forget which edition this was. This is take a good look at this woman. She was created by a computer from a mix of several races. What you see is a remarkable preview of the new face of America, how immigrants shaping the world's first multicultural society. So at that time in the 1980s, when this edition came out, trying to put this together was a monumental feat with a mainframe computer to do it. And it averaged out these headshots of all these people based upon the demographics of who was in the United States and the change in Hispanic nature. You can see the kind of movement there. And then we're talking about bias. And this is something I did for my class back when Gemini first came out. They wanted to make fair and equitable. So if you ask for a housekeeper, you want to give people from every different ethnicity, even though maybe that the percentage of housekeepers are in majority Hispanic, especially in South Florida, and they're in their 40s. You don't want to do that bias, right? So I ask it to, so this is what was generated back when Gemini first came out with their own model. Now I've forgotten what that model was called, if you remember. But it produced, when asked for a picture of a 1943 German soldier, it gave a black man and an Asian woman. Impossible. Or a black man when I did it in Adobe's Firefly. So then fast forward, I'm sitting at a meeting, and this is about 2 years ago when Firefly came out, and they were talking about bias. They were talking to educators, a room full of educators talking about how can we use this thing? It hallucinates all the time and it has bias. So the little story over there to the right is Adobe came out with they spent, thousands of hours of engineering to get this right. So while I'm sitting there on my phone, I open up Firefly and I worked on the team. Actually, it was my laptop. And while they're talking about this, I prompted it to make a photograph of 5 women, 5 people, nurses. I said 5 nurses in a hospital setting, professional photo shoot. I didn't say, give me the demographics of the United States. But simultaneously, I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me the demographics for nurses registered in the United States to be nurses. Here's the breakdown. Female, 86%. Male, 14%. White, 65.3%. That's why you've got, and then Black or African American, Latino, 9.6, Asian, et cetera, et cetera. And it gave me this image because Adobe engineered at least some compliance to get it to look right. So then I decided to go deeper and I thought, what is all the bias? So a friend of mine posted this picture. He used 3 different large language models. Little did he know Nana Banana was behind them. And he just looked for a picture of a woman. It produced this picture on the left. So I asked, what is the machine average? That means that the lion's set of database of images are mostly, because the internet is, mostly European-centric or American-centric, mostly white people, privileged in the majority. So it's trained on images that are of white people, that the average woman is a green-eyed white woman you see on the left. So the training bias based on Lion 5B, which is the big language model, and that's another story for another day, but it was created as a nonprofit organization. So all of the models trained on it, Midjourney, everybody. And then other things like Midjourney started to gather more images. Then they started to consume their own content. As people uploaded pictures, they trained on that. So if you look at what the average is based upon what I call the machine's AI Eve. So this is Eve. If she was a woman, she is the training bias, 63% white European, 11% African American, or African, Black and African. South Asian, less, greater than 5%, East Asian, 3%, Hispanic, Latino, 2%. And that's what you get. If you ask for President of the United States, of course, you get a white male, because that would be accurate to the demographics. So bias is created by what you're trained on. So if you didn't know this already, it misidentifies Black women all the time for committing crimes. So if a police department's got a Black woman in custody, they can't tell if this is the right one or not, because the language model was not trained on Black women. It had plenty of Black men and white men inside incarceration, photographs stolen or taken from scraping all that data. But if I ask AI, as I did, to create the human Eve, that's based upon 59% Asian, East and Asian, African 17%, European white 10%, Latin American 8%, and then 4%. This is a reflection of our planet. This is our every woman, our human.
Hey, Rick, we've lost your screen share, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Where'd you lose it when I was?
I had stepped away for a second. I came back and it was just you, no NotebookLM. So I wanted to let you know.
Oh, no idea where it went off screen?
Not that long ago, because I didn't step away for that long. But
okay.
Let me
get this back up. So
looks like maybe about the past 5 minutes, according to Claire.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So you saw that it's fixable. Adobe showed that it's at least engineerable out, so it at least closely looks at the demographics, and that is a problem, right? So here is on the left the AI Eve. So this is the training data that gave it the bias that it's only seen that. Now I grew up in Japan. I never saw a Black person until I was 10 years old. In Japan, there weren't any, right? In fact, we were a family of a redhead and a blonde, my 2 sisters. And we almost capsized a ferry on the way to Okinawa because they had never seen, first of all, white people. And second of all, this is 1959, 1960. They had never seen a blonde and a redhead, for sure. So then I went to Greece for 4 years. My dad was in the military, come back. So I'd never seen a Black person. So what is my demographic knowledge and my relationship? I happened to go back into 1968 in Alabama in, busing crisis and everything else at the height of a very dramatic period of time. And then I had to figure out what was going on in America and how could they be so cruel to somebody because of their skin color, et cetera. Never understood that, still don't. But there you go. So that's our reality. It's based upon what we know, but it can be fixed and can be engineered out. So this is a Google Notebook LM. This is an infographic from the AI bias engine and the human author. This looks at what you scraped from the internet. So as an educational piece, take a look at this. So I went into Google Notebook LM and I loaded up all the videos I could find about bias and what different kinds there are and what it has to do with with AI and the generation of images. So I put in my pictures of the nurses you see down at the bottom from Adobe and the historical figures that are white male in the 1943 German uniforms. So it had that context. And it said large language model privileges blindness, cognitive bias, availability heuristics,
Hey, Rick,
historical versus...
we've lost your screen share again. I don't know what's going on with your tabs, but we've lost it again.
Okay, maybe I share just the PowerPoint. Would that help, you think? Let me see. I don't see the PowerPoint as a window. Yeah, I'll share this. I don't have any audio. Let's see if that works better. Is that showing now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it basically took all the information I gave it, made an infographic and I included the AI Eve training average internet bias and the World Eve planetary average real world data, generated an image of my dream woman. So this is what I said. I said, have AI make it. So there's the people, the human intervention, the fixers of the black box. So this is all the data from my conversations that I had about that picture you had before and my stuff from Adobe, all loaded as one PDF that I loaded into NotebookLM. That's my grounded truth. And then I ask it to create the scenario, a cartoon version. So the stylistic part is this is a cartoon illustration showing off the contextual and metaphorical representation of what bias is and how it could be fixed and re-engineered. Have a man, and so the description is have a man looking to generate a picture of a woman that is going to be his dream date, my aspiration and my mirror, etc. So I just did that, and then this is what you got. And there are, let's tweak the safety filters, let's balance representation, define fairness. Well, what is fairness? Oh my God, there's 7 different types of bias. There's the sort of bias that if you ask for a picture of a president of the United States, of course, it's going to give you a white man. Why wouldn't it? Because there's, and no women for sure, unless you over woke it. And that's the term I use, is woke to the point of insomnia. So insomnia means that you're woke all the time and that's all you talk about. That's another episode. But this is an existentially deep, philosophical, master's thesis level rendering of an idea that by putting in the smart conversation of what I did previous and then telling it to generate an infographic, kind of knowing where I wanted to go. So it's me in 66 years of teaching and understanding how to make information graphics that are representational. So here's the secret takeaway for you. Tell it what you want. If you want something like this, give me an informational graphic that postulates all of the 6 different concepts represented in this large amount of data. Give me in a cartoon informational graphic form so it's fun to look at and understand. Use a color palette, or say, as you'll see later, one of my favorite new one is a dark Renaissance mixture of existential threat. That's my new style prompt that get me something else. All right, so I'm going to go through all this. This is the FEMA project that we talked about last week. Sorry. And there's the life force, which we'll go over in a couple of weeks. And this is vibe coding the application. Okay, so we saw all that last week. And then this is what I've been doing for Upskill USA. I don't know if we got to this last week or not, but there's kind of the 5 levels of exposure you have to losing your job. And we'll talk about that again another week. Let me get to the part here. Okay. So this is a Google Notebook LM. So what are the 5 threat levels on the left? And then I asked for what are the 5 workforce domains that upskilling outcomes can help you a lot, or what kind of assessment? And then on the right, deployment of flow. So the professors teach employers, teach employees, and then national outcomes. And then the whole thing is in the middle. What am I trying to do with Upskill USA for the GI Bill for the AI age? So this is from my data. This was from the same data. This I asked for, what are the great humanities final exam? And I thought of, think of these people like Denis Hassabis, who has 9 lives. So here I said, create 8 lives, 8 events in Denis Hassabis. So I loaded up all the videos. So you go into your Discover tab in your source material, and you say, find me all the stuff about Denis Hassabis, his entire life. And I knew a few things like AlphaGo, that he was a chess player at age 13, world-class champion. And I knew because I found a whole, in fact, it just came out. It's an entire video for free on YouTube of his entire life, from when he started to now, winning a Nobel Prize. And I think he's now Sir Denis Hassabis. And he saw protein folding, AlphaFold. He also did AlphaGo, which was the Sputnik moment, move number 37. So this is the source of data I put into Google NotebookLM. And then I said, make an infographic and give me 8 lives, 8 major events that he have. And then my idea was these are called the immortals. The 9th live is what they leave behind when they pass, a changed world. So we rise as stars. Imagine that if you could find 8 ways to reinvent yourself as he did in such glorious ways. I feel like I've reinvented myself by doing this app that we talked about tonight. And I've got a bunch more lives. Hopefully at 66 years old, I've had some amazing achievements in my life that led me to what I hope is going to be a beautiful life and a legacy and a starship like Denis Hassabis, and then Alan Turing and Yuval Noah Harari and Fei Li. And so these are the immortals, people who had 8 lives, 8 nexus points in their lives. And I'm going to trace it. So this is going to become a book. In fact, I should probably, and then Jesus, what were his 8 lives that led to it? So I know what I wanted to do. And I know the 9th one would be the, in his case, is the resurrection and ascension and the living on forever in stories. Marcus Aurelius and Friedrich Nietzsche, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These were all created in NotebookLM by making profiles of these people. I started most of these just in ChatGPT. Yeah. Lost it again?
No, I just wanted to give you a quick time check. We're coming up right at the top of the hour. So okay. If you want to keep going, you're more than welcome to. But it sounded like we were maybe getting ready to land that plane and head on out of here for the night.
Yeah, so what I'm going to share with you next is styles. So I've probably got another 5 minutes to go. Styles are like this. And so what I did is I said,
so I'm going to head on out, but okay. You have a great rest of your night, and namaste, you, as you say. We'll see you next week.
As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir. And thanks for helping me land that plane on that project, a major project. So here's the takeaway for you. So you load up all the information, use the Discover tab to get more information about whatever you're talking about. And then you can use some of these techniques: surrealist painting, steampunk engraving, film noir poster. So these are prompts of style that it already knows what they are. So it'll take the same idea and recast it in different ways. So here's NotebookLM, and I'm teaching a class in it. So you start with your sources. You've got a 1 million context window, 300 separate PDFs, and there's all the list of all the apps you can load up. A YouTube video does the complete transcripts and everything. Hit the Discover tab when you're done putting in what you know is your source. For free, you can put 50 sources. That means the entire transcripts of of Denis Hassabis's entire documentary about him. That alone would give me that illustration that we looked at earlier, right? Because it talks about all those things. So all I do is put that in there, and it has the entire thing. Then you have a chat if you want to sort of focus your attention to certain things. I have taken giant projects which have 300 different things in there. So I loaded up all of the major applications that I use every day. And I did a deep dive, and I said, search for the best stuff on NotebookLM, on Nana Banana, blah, 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 and the techniques and things you can do with it. Then I'll just go over to my sources, turn off the button next to those sources, and then ask it to define in my generation of a overview, tell me the best things I could do with Nana Banana, tell me the best things I could do with NotebookLM for educators. So I prompt it in my studio, which is the end of the process, to make it. So this same exact information graphic done in this style, which is more of a cartoon infographic, gives me this 1980 style. So on the right, what am I doing? I'm putting in PDFs, MP3 text files, billions of context window, if that's more correct. And then I query it, that content, define connections, query your grounded knowledge, research assistant, and then I then go to create artifacts in the classroom. So this is how I'm teaching it to students and educators. You're using it for quiz and assessment, video overviews, slide decks, infographics, and you're prompting for the best results covered in the class. So that is curated knowledge, the library, Gemini query and connection center, and then classroom artifacts and output creation. That's what it is. So then I said, let's make this, and the keywords are here, in the style of parchment from the Library of Alexandria. I want you to make an infographic that shows off the main features of Google Notebook LM on the left, the sources in the middle, and chat on the right. Studio, what are all the capabilities? And then the rest that you see there. So that's what I use. The top part, I just changed the style to whatever I want, and I got this. So this is the same information that I got from the previous ones you just saw, but by putting in there in the style of parchment paper from the Library of Alexandria, there you go. So it's using the style to take the same information. Now, this is too much text. So here's another little tidbit for you. Ask it to have headline only text, because while I could go back and fix all this, and it's not too far from the truth, this is incredible detail. And what I've actually done in this particular one is I fed it to Gemini, and I said, make sense out of these words. I went back to the same conversation where I started the process to go into NotebookLM to generate my content, trying to figure out how to explain NotebookLM. And then it regenerated the text. So I could go back and retouch this and get it absolutely perfect. But you've got the foundation, the engine, and the factory. And those are the three things. So then I said, Renaissance style painting illustrate the ideas of the American Civil War, where we are and who's fighting whom, and what the most difficult things about the AI age in America is: modern disinformation, social media, chamber mode, personifying, that means it's going to put people in there to illustrate. Visuals that illuminate the ideas with the very few words. That's the magic words right there, right? Very few words, but strong conceptual personified art look at the artificial intelligence and its potential future effect on the discourse for the good and bad. There you go. There's a Renaissance painting, the digital panacopia, the secondary dark abuse, the Falcon app, Palantir's immigration OS. So this is all the stuff I put in there. The problems with the world, the deep fakes on the right, the large language models dividend, the fact that Facebook was stealing data from you, so they get a dividend by fracturing America. So this is personified what I was trying to say before. But here's all of the facts: immigration enforcement, secondary dark abuse, the digital panic, the government builds NSA's PRISM program. So this is the evil dark on the right, and these are the effects on the human people. Holy cow. Beautiful Renaissance-style portrait of Dennis Azabas, large portrait on the left with metaphorical illustrations of the top impact Demis has had on the world of AI, biblical allegory style. There you go. It's the same thing as before, and it gets into AlphaFold, 3D static protein structures, AlphaFold 3, dynamic pairwise interactions. And there is the DNA in the protein folding. And he's dreamed of a full in silico simulation of the virtual cell to 100x the speed of wet lab experiments, eventually modeling the origin of life from primordial soup. That's what he's working on right now. So this is the same data, but this is the different outcome in a Renaissance portrait. Beautiful Renaissance portrait. There we go. And there it is again with a slight change. And I didn't put the top 5 impacts. I said, there's 5 impacts, right? So steampunk engraving style, give me a visually rich, photographically cinematic, dark, gray background, metaphorically personified. I love metaphorically personified. Use images to convey ideas with smart images that speak as in metaphor. And I've also started using in the way that biblical stories tell the story in pictures. So I started doing that. There you go. Same information. Let's try that in a WPA federal art project style. Give me visually rich, photographically cinematic, dark gray background, metaphorically personified. Same information. There it is. The deep questions for the AI age. And there are the 9 different things: reality and simulation, agency and control. And I should have asked for less text, but this is great. You've even got Alan Turing in the top left, the nature of intelligence. Intelligence is not a monolith. That's a quote from Alan Turing underneath there, right? You can't quite read it, but this is incredible. And you've even got Zuckerberg and the leaders at the bottom, right? ChatGPT. Give me a visually rich, cinematically, blah, blah, metaphorical, personified. Look for the biggest deep things in artificial intelligence. There you go. There's the 9 ideas. And guess who's at the bottom? Elon, Mark, and ChatGPT CEO, right? So it's all there, the homogenation of culture, the future connection. And then it added, because I put the matrix in there and I put her in there in the places where the human connection, and it used the reference to the meaning of her. This is a knowledge cornucopia. So dark background gray. So these are things I use again and again. Art as a verb, giving me the 6 different levels of technology and their impact on humanity. And the age of the aura, where the object is an art object of, there's only one Mona Lisa. You have to be in the presence of that. So if he took a master's degree, Claude, so Benjamin made the quote about the aura, the idea that we went from that to an age where you can see Surrealist and Andy Warhol give us the a commercial object as a valuable thing, and 15 minutes of frame. So 1964, the end of art. So this is all large language models. This is a master's level thesis course. I've taught art history many times. I've taken 8 art history courses, one with Jerry Uelsman as my instructor, and one in photography. And I want to do one using this tool to generate all my stuff. Human displacement jobs, existential loss of meaning and power, fake news, propaganda, high quality Renaissance painting, biblical nature in nature, cinematic, beautifully metaphorical presentation, artificial intelligence, the age, blah, blah, blah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You know, so this is a recasting of that same knowledge in all of these visual representation. Here's a Jordan Peterson in this sort of Renaissance painting architecture. And this is everything. If you know Jordan Peterson, this is every YouTube video, and I had it searched for me. So I just said, I went in there and hit Discover tab, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just going to run through these high quality Renaissance painting. This is from the PowerPoint, the second creation, an illuminated manuscript on the age of artificial intelligence. And this is one of the slides that came out of it. The silent collapse of unemployment. The pop star dumps the athlete. Content moderated, community guideline violations. And this woman, humans first. Then there's this. So this is an illustration that I created on personifying each one of the large language models. This is done in Gemini, but it basically, and then it broke it down. It picked who it picked. I gave it some a bunch of stuff that I've been doing. So here's what I did in ChatGPT that you can do. I'm going to be attaching a PDF of this entire document, so you can literally copy and paste this that you see on screen, or while you're watching it, take a screenshot, copy and paste this, and change it to whatever city you want. Somewhere in there is the word Paris. And I made it at nighttime. I found this online, just redid it. These are some things I've been doing recently. Then I've been downloading off of Facebook every day. This one guy puts up all these things trying to explain something. So I then make it better. So he was trying to talk about how ripening and over-ripening, there's more starch, there's more digestible. So I basically said, make it a worthwhile infographic that walks me through when I should eat something and why I shouldn't, how the growing conditions influences the amount of starch and sugars. And, so eating a banana when it's ripe or unripe changes the fiber content. I didn't know all that. but certainly could help me, right? The amount of pectin and T. I don't even know what this stuff means, but I was able to do it. Here's another one. The circadian rhythm and your brain. Bingo. Holy crap. This is the 24-hour circadian rhythm about your body's master clock resetting itself. And there's the serotonin and the cortisol and how it affects and how it works. And there is your pancreas and your liver and your fat and how they have to work on this, how much sleep you get. Oh my goodness. So it's the ability. Here's Joseph Campbell's conceptual thinking about the hero's journey. Of course, he influenced the writing of Star Wars because that's what it was made based upon. So there's his hero's journey with the personification of the Matrix and all the different characters throughout history who personified this idea. So what did that cause? It caused, Star Wars to be made. He directly referenced Joseph Campbell's concepts in the making of the movie Star Wars and the hero's journey. And the same with The Lion King. And that's my prompt. The 12 stages of the hero's journey. Visualize, so I happen to know that little bit. Winding path through a map. Refer to the context pasted below for the 3 acts and 12 steps of the hero's journey. And there it is, reimagined as just Lord of the Rings and the 12 steps of, the ordinary world, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, the meeting of the mentor. The crossing of the threshold, the test of allies and enemies, the approach to the innermost cave. Oh my goodness. And there's all the elements in a cartoon form, in a map, right? Photographic lighting, photography studio. This is for my photography class. I taught these 4 different ways of lighting, and we did this as an assignment. Give me an infographic about the United States. What are the core differences between Republican and Democrat? Not how we act, but what our core ideas are. There you go. That's an infographic I've made. This is a prompt I found online. I said, tell me more about this. In an infographic, give me 6 ideas about what's unique about it that it can do that no other plane can. There's a little extra plane in there. There's a missile being fired, and I had it, of course, against the sky. So here's an infographic, 6 major things for an infographic about a T-Rex. The cheetah and the T-Rex and speeds that they go at. So obviously a human would be dead because a T-Rex can go 15 to 25 miles an hour. So yeah, that you know that. And then I ask it to tell me key facts. And then on the right, give me key tech facts, scientific context, mass, diet, habitat, and time period. Holy crap. So mycelium, try to explain that, right? The wood wide web is what it's called. Underground, it's communicating between big and small trees for the migration of water between different ones that need it and don't need it. Even during a fire, there's an underground communication system that's equivalent across acres and miles that the trees talk to each other and always have. We didn't even know about this. But this came from this prompt, which was, did some research about it in ChatGPT and came over and got it to happen. Here are the 16 panels from the shower scene from Psycho. So it knows everything in the world. Here's the picture that I got from online that somebody did, and they were so proud of themselves, which is pretty cool. I watched a Josh Gates episode about it, and I said, hey, can you make it real? Holy crap. So can you make this full-colored, real-looking infographic with all the parts, making the building pyramid, make the central figure larger, and put the Sphinx off to one side, bigger and more contextual background, looking like a real senior, think, 3-dimensional building, the pyramids, and an ancient Egypt of script. So this is a papyrus-based infographic that's real and is based upon its knowledge of all of these separate elements. And of course, you can have some fun and make some ugly Christmas sweaters, or you can do the kind of stuff that you see here. Oh, this one was really kind of amazing. Those are my 4 pictures. So this is a pretty long prompt, but someone had posted, you want little versions of yourself on the shoulder. So I just went in there and added that I have a Nikon Z8 camera, and that it put all the correct lenses, and that is the Nikon Z8 camera that I have. And then I said, put me sitting at a desk with all this going on. And here's my 4 pictures. They're framed and on the wall and spotlighted. So if you read this whole long thing, that's how I got this. This is a one-shot prompt in ChatGPT. And then we've got free will and human consciousness. And that started with just a post. And then I loaded up my picture, and all of the world is agreed upon hallucinations. Money is a hallucination we agree to abide by. It's a contract between nations, how we exchange that money. It's a contract between you and your bosses. So it's a long conversation of what is consciousness. Are you aware that you're playing a game? Do you know that our political system is just a board game privileging rich people right now, and that the government is not working for we the people? Well, if you know that, then you can have free will, and you potentially can change it. What's it going to take to change? You got to change the world. What kind of job is that? A dangerous freaking man like me, Rick McCauley. A man that understands that free will requires that you raise your consciousness to understand how these board games are not privileging you, and redesign them with other people that feel the same way, that we should design it for a machine of loving grace to serve us, the public, and give us the power that we deserve. So tonight's episode has been dedicated to one thing. My name is Rick McCauley. I am born of service to the world. I hope you will join me, because as John Lennon says, I'm not the only one. And now you've heard my story of what I'm doing. What are you going to do with AI? So John Kennedy said, ask not, I'm paraphrasing here, what AI can do for you, but ask what you can do with AI. What can I do with my ikigai, my purpose-building thing in life, to illustrate the world to you, to do deep dives and spend the rest of my life dedicated to one good thing after another, making myself a better version of myself, understanding that politics has been broken for centuries, and we're at the nexus point where you have to decide, are you on the side of good or evil? Are you on the side of getting into good trouble, necessary trouble? Because we are all people that have to stand up, like Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. I say, give me a better world or give me death. And to my dying day, which I hope will be extended healthily way into my 200s, I'm going to every day dedicate my life to making it a better world for immigrants and for people like yourselves that are just good people, that just want to do good things and live in a world that you can raise your children in. I've had too many conversations with people that aren't having children. All of my students have no interest in having children because it's a broke world, that they don't even know what they don't know and how to fix it. But I'm telling you, if you learn to get on the good side of AI and use it to amplify whatever gift you have to give to the world, you will make stardust into starlight. Like Dennis Sasabas, you might be able to cure cancer. You might be able to change the world. You might be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. You might just make the world a better, safer place for your kids and for other people's kids and for immigrants and everybody else. We need to act now, because we've already seen what it looks like to be in echo chambers of our own discourse, to be divided as a nation instead of we the people. We know what this is like. We know what this moment is, and it's time to own it and change the world. Namaste, and thank you very much for joining me tonight. I'm Rick McCauley, the AI guy, and my goal is to make the world a better place for all. Won't you join me? If you will.
That was 5 minutes, exactly. Hard to believe.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, sir, for sticking around. I appreciate you. I think I landed the plane pretty well there, and it's a great show.
It is always a pleasure to hear you speak and spend time with you on Thursdays. We'll be back next week. Probably talking about NotebookLM at the rate we're going again. But
no, we'll talk about Festivus and some other things that we have coming up. In fact, in the chat, I'm looking for anybody that has some ideas they would like to talk about. Yeah, there's a new version of Who Knows What coming out next week, so we'll certainly cover that. So it's news. It's about a deep dive on some philosophical topic, and then it's how to use the tools. So thank you so much, Brandon. You're a brother of another mother and a beautiful human being. Say peace and love to your holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care. Love you.